Hey, Coach Miller here with BTB Lax, and I have another college lacrosse weekly recap for you for the week of March 29th, 2022. We had some awesome games last weekend. We had some upsets this week that have already happened. Let's dive right into it right now. But real quick, guys, if you like these types of videos, go ahead and make sure you subscribe to this channel. Get on my email mailing list. The links are right in the description of this video, so you can get these recaps delivered to your inbox. I also have other videos that I put out for like drills, stuff like that. So make sure you check that out. All right, let's dive into the weekly recap. All right, let's dive right into it. Today is April 1st, 2022. We're going to go through the weekly recap, but first let's touch on some of those storylines from last week. So Yale took down Princeton 14-12. Penn topped Cornell 15-11. Our boy Hanley had 3 goals. Syracuse beat Duke 14-10. That was a great game plan by Syracuse there, and they took down a talented Duke team. We're going to look at some highlights of a bunch of this stuff. And then Rutgers pounded Ohio State 18-7.
With that hitch step, stepping up the field to get his hands free, Syracuse looked sharp. As good as I've seen them look all year.
Dornovic rings it off the pipe and in. Stepped on the brake, swung around, and beat Adler.
So here, Tucker Dornovic pops one in with a great move. Syracuse goes up 7-1 in this game.
This is by far the best they have played under Gary Gay.
Well, it looks confident, right? I mean, you watch them early in the year, and they didn't have belief that they could generate the type of opportunities and put constant pressure on the defenses. But right now, I mean, look at this set. This is great. I mean, that's just picture-perfect lacrosse.
So here to see some great team offense, just getting the ball over after the slide to the other side of the field. And then Brendan Curry gets a great dodge. The Duke defenseman doesn't break down a poke check. Brendan Curry played his high school ball at Calvert Hall in Maryland, a top high school program. So you can just see the great dodge.
Here's O'Neal. He's the guy to stop it, and he does. Brennan O'Neal, exactly what the Blue Devils craved. Stings the corner to beat Bobby Gavin.
All right, Duke needed a goal, and they got one from one of their best players, Brennan O'Neal. He's actually a lefty, but he gets one here on righty to get it to 7-2.
Shutting off Brennan O'Neal. You can see him on the top of the screen. They're not going to let him be involved in this man-up opportunity. So they'd rather go out at 5-on-4 rather than 6-on-5.
So taking a closer look here, you can see it's a man-up opportunity. It's a 5-on-4 because Syracuse is shutting off Brennan O'Neal. Kind of cool to look at.
Than any of the other Duke midfielders.
Montgomery finds McAdory, keeps the ball hot, over to O'Neal, steps in and scores! Brennan O'Neal, a hat trick today, makes it a 1-goal game.
We talked earlier about who's going to be the player that is going to get Brennan O'Neal to the next level, right? Because to me, Brennan O'Neal, off of ball movement, is unguardable, right? Off of stagnant offense, off the dead ball, whistles on the end line, he's a good player, not great. Move the ball through X, get your step-down shooters, continue to put Tucker Dornovic in the right spot.
There it is, right on cue. Tucker Dornovic delivers his 4th goal on the afternoon, and Syracuse back up by 2.
This is a great play here. You can see the ball screen, and then Dornovic pops off after the slide guy for that little pass, and then he gets the shot. So just a screen and cut.
And that makes your defense have to make decisions. You put them in tough spots, and that's when you can play good offense.
Enza has a step, the feed, the goal! Duke back within 1. Great opportunity to tie it at 11. O'Neal dispossessed from behind. Brennan O'Neal thought those hands were going to get free to tie this game. Instead, it's Syracuse between the legs. Are you kidding me? Tucker Dornovic. You'll see that on SportsCenter Top 10.
So we got a 1-goal game here, and this is an unbelievable play on both sides of the ball. Defensively, transition to the offense. Pushing the ball up. That's even a good pass. I mean, you got the guy on your back shoulder, and then that one-handed between the legs goal is unbelievable. So this pretty much was the icing on the cake. Syracuse went on the win. All right, that one-handed between the leg goal by Dornovic was unbelievable. It had the stadium going nuts. But anyway, let's take a look at last week's predictions. I had Yale over Princeton. Got that one right, baby. I think the Ivy League is just going to beat each other up. I mean, they have 5 teams in the top 10, so they're all going to start playing each other, and, losses are going to accumulate. Some teams are going to come out. We'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look at some of the other bets from last week. UMass won that. I actually did pretty well last week. UMass, they not only were dogs by 3.5, they won by 3 at Brown. Lehigh, they lost by 3 at Georgetown, so won that. Also hit the over in that game. Maryland, Penn State had a lot of injuries. Maryland won 18-7, so I hit that as well. And then Yale won. I took them in the spread and in the money line, so we covered that. All right, let's take a look through the different conferences. We'll start it with the ACC. UVA topped Notre Dame 12-8. Schellenberger had another 5-point game with 3 goals and 2 assists. We talked about Syracuse beating Duke. North Carolina squeaked by Bellarmine. It was close for 3 quarters, but then North Carolina was too much in the 4th quarter. We got some big games tomorrow. We got Duke at North Carolina, so they're playing lacrosse and in basketball. And then we have Syracuse at Notre Dame. I like Syracuse in that game. I still don't understand how Notre Dame is ranked. I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go on. America East, Albany, they got a win. They needed a win. They got their 2nd win of the season. They beat Stony Brook. Stony Brook still on top of that league 5-4. Vermont beat Canisius. That conference is still up for grabs, and remember, they get an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Atlantic Sun Conference, Utah crushed Mercer 23-9. Air Force over Marquette 16-9. Marquette, they're in the Big East. They're struggling a little bit. Speaking of the Big East, Denver and Villanova, they're playing much better lacrosse. Villanova took down Delaware by 5 this past weekend, and Delaware just re-cracked the top 20. And then Denver topped Towson 12-9. Denver and Georgetown, they play Saturday, and at Denver is 3.5-point dogs. I like that game a lot. I think Georgetown's probably going to win, but I like Denver covering that game. All right, and then last week, Georgetown topped Lehigh 14-11. That game was close. It was 10-9 to start the 4th quarter, but then Georgetown was too much. They pulled away. Dylan Watson, the Hill Academy, the attackman for Georgetown, had another 5 goals. And the goalie for Georgetown didn't play. I noticed it in the stat sheet, so I went in, asked some people that I know over there because I used to coach there, and they said he hurt his hand, but he will be back. So that's good news for the Hoya fans. All right, let's take a look at the Big Ten. Rutgers crushed Ohio State 18-7. They are cruising. They're back in the top 5. Hopkins over Michigan. Michigan has lost 3 games in a row, and Maryland pounded Penn State 18-7. Penn State had a lot of injuries. That line was at 5.5 to start the week, and then it bumped up to 6.5. So Maryland still cruises. The CAA. Biggest news here is UMass. They're playing good ball. They went to Providence and then beat them by 3, and they were dogs by 3.5, which I talked about. Early in their season, they played Yale real tight, lost by a goal. Believe that game went in overtime. I talked about it on an earlier weekly recap. So Coach Cannella has UMass playing good. We'll keep an eye on the Gorillas because they changed their name. They used to be the Minutemen, but I just realized that they changed their name to the Gorillas. Ivy League. One of my favorite leagues of college lacrosse because there's so many good teams in there, and they didn't get a chance to play the last 2 years, especially last year. Yale takes down Princeton 14-12. I kind of called that game because Princeton had so many good wins. If you remember, they beat Georgetown, then they beat Penn, and then they beat Rutgers. Rutgers was actually in between that. So then they had to play Princeton, then they had to play Yale. I mean, that's a lot of tough games. There's like no cupcakes there. I thought they were, and plus Yale, if they had lost that game, Yale was going to have a losing record. So I liked Yale in that game. They won. I'll show you some highlights there. Let's take a look. Here we got 1-0 Princeton. Alex Slusher puts it in. He's our buddy from Oregon. We've talked about him before. Princeton goes up 2-0. All right, this is Yale's first goal of the game. Little transition play. Good save. Yale gets the rebound. And then we have a great assist by number 18, Jack Monfort from Syosset. All right, 4-3 ball game. Princeton's up 1. Great save by the Yale goalie. Does a great job getting up and out. We got a transition opportunity. Yale does a good job setting up the fast break. Bink. Number 6 for Yale, Leo Johnson from Avon Old Farms. Puts it home. Yale ties it up 4-4. All right, here we go. Princeton's on offense. Decent ball movement here. Just a pop out. 91 Princeton's Coulter Maxkey from Brunswick, New York, just rips it.
But you said it, Andy Shea calls a timeout, have an opportunity to regroup. Shot clock running low now, down to 15. There's a shot, they score!
All right, here we go. We got Yale up by 2. 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Princeton's moving the ball. They got a shot. Rebound goal. Princeton gets the goal off the rebound. Number 5 again, Alex Slusher.
There's a goal!
Then, here we go. Final goal puts them up by 2. Number 54, Carson Cool from California. Just gets topside, rips it. Big win for Yale. Harvard crushed Dartmouth 19-10. Sam King had 6 goals and 1 assist. As I talked about, Brown dropped to UMass. Penn over Cornell. Big win for Penn there. Big games coming up tomorrow. Penn at Yale, Princeton at Brown. Brown needs to get back on track. It's going to be a tough game against Princeton because Princeton's damn good, but we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on that. All right, the MAC. The Bonnies are on a 5-game win streak. They have a very weak schedule. I took a look at it, but again, all these conferences get automatic bids to the tournament. And I was talking to one of my buddies who coaches college lacrosse, and he was saying that the St. Bonaventure's goalie is very good. I went on, looked at him. Brett Dobson, he played at the Hill Academy, very good goalie. So with good goalie play, St. Bonnie is 7-2. NEC, St. Joe's is on top at 7-2. They beat Wagner 12-6. Patriot League, another very competitive conference. BU sits on top at 7-1. They host Navy this week. Navy's actually 3.5-point dog. I like that a lot. Navy's playing pretty good. 3.5 to me is too much. That hook, baby, the hook, that 1.5. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, last week recap, Bucknell over Colgate 14-6. Colgate's been losing a lot of games. Army snapped Loyola's 3-game winning streak. Holy Cross is struggling. They haven't won yet. But then Army plays Bucknell tomorrow as well. So we'll keep an eye on the Patriot League, see what happens there. Southern Conference, Jacksonville and High Point, they play tomorrow. So that's going to be a big game. Right now, Jacksonville's got that 8-2 record where High Point's 5-4. But it all comes down to who wins the conference. And that Jacksonville High Point will go a long way to deciding who is going to be the victor of that conference. All right, let's take a look at some lines this week. Ohio State, Penn State, 2.5. That line's small. And I think that the line is dictated a lot by how badly Ohio State got beat last week. I like Ohio State in that game. BU, Navy, 3.5. I touched on that. 3.5 seems a lot. Denver, Georgetown. Love Denver getting 3.5, especially out there. They're playing good ball. Remember, they beat North Carolina a couple weeks ago, and they look good offensively. Georgetown's real good, but I'm not sure if the goalie's playing, and the game is in Denver. There'll be a big crowd there. Richmond, Virginia. Virginia's favored by 4.5. Jacksonville, High Point. Jacksonville's favored by 1.5. I like that. And then Duke, North Carolina. North Carolina's hosting Duke. They're at home. And they're the dog. I like UNC. I like UNC in the basketball, too. So we'll see what happens. All right, taking a look at my predictions for this week. I like UNC over Duke. Syracuse over Notre Dame. Jacksonville tops High Point. Penn over Yale. And my bets, Navy getting 3.5. UNC money line. Denver getting 3.5. Ohio State giving 2.5. My pick of the week, I like that Navy. I think Navy's playing good. I think it's going to be like a 2-goal game. I think BU probably will win, but I just think 3.5 is too much. Let's take a look at the rankings for the week of March 28th, 2022. That's when USILA publishes them every Monday, so you can go on the website and check it out. We got Rutgers back in the top 5. 5 teams in the Ivy League are in the top 10. That's unbelievable. Brown dropped out of the top 20. They've lost 2 in a row. And how in the world is Notre Dame still ranked at 2-4? I think they're going to lose this week to Syracuse, and then they'll be bumped from the top 20. All right, let's take a look at some Division III real quick. We'll, as always, touch on the NESCAC. Tufts, they're 6-1. They played a lot of games the last 6 days. They had 2 games over the weekend, then they had to come back and play Union. A little bit of a letdown there. Union takes them down 17-12. And Bowdoin had that big win that we were looking for. They played Wesleyan, and they took them down, so now they are in the top 20. All right, let's take a look at the rankings for Division III. All right, Bowdoin, they bump up to 11 with their great win over Wesleyan, 16-10. St. Fisher's, they've been in the top 5 all year long. I didn't know anything about them, so I needed to go do some research. I went on their website, saw that David Dobbins is their head coach. He's been there since 2017. Before that, he was an Ohio State assistant from 2009 to 2014, and then he played his college lacrosse at Colgate. Tufts, some notes on Tufts, seeing that I went there. They beat Lynchburg, top 10 team last Saturday. Followed that up with a win over Trinity, but then Union came to town, took down the Jumbos by 5. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on that and see what's going on with Union. As we can see, Union is 7th in the country, so they are legit. All right. So that wraps up the weekly recap for this week of March 21st, 2022. We got some great games tomorrow, so make sure you get on the tube and check some of that stuff out. As always, if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can get every video that I put out. I just put out a dodging with a long pole video that's gained a lot of traction, so you can check that out if you're looking to dodge better against a long pole. And also, if you want to take your game to the next level, check out some of my programs, BTB Lax Plus. The link is right in the description of this video. Talk soon. Coach Miller.